Hi everyone, I'm going to present to you now Saifa Kata. Let's start off with Saifa Kata with the stances. First, you assume what's called a musubidachi. Musubidachi is a 45-degree angle stance, the feet in the shape of a V. All of our Goju katas begin with this stance. Choji Miyagi Sensei believed that from this starting posture, you can move quickly in any direction. So if you think about it in self-defense, you don't know from which side the attacker is coming on. So it's a nice neutral place to start from. Before you begin the kata, you begin with 3 preparatory breaths. This helps get your mind into what's called the wuji state, or the state of nothingness. The first step in Saifa Kata is to step out at a 45-degree angle with the right foot in a larger than normal front stance. The normal Zenkutsudachi or front stance would be about here, where if I drop my knee to the ground, it'll be in alignment with the about the heel to the center of the foot. This stance is going to be 1 foot space more than that in a deep Zenkutsudachi. Keep the toes pointing forward. The back leg is pointed at a 45-degree angle. Once again, slide the foot out with shuriashi, sliding of the feet. Next, I'm going to drag this foot up into, once again, the 45-degree angle stance known as musubidachi. I then step into a shikodachi, yoku in reference to the shomen, sideways towards the shomen. That's repeated with the left side. Back leg is straight, front knee is bent, extra long Zenkutsudachi front stance, back foot is pointing 45 degrees. I'm up into musubidachi, and then step out again into a shikodachi, sideways in reference to the front of the kata. Third time, step out again, Zenkutsudachi, musubidachi, back to shikodachi. Be sure to keep the heels. It's hard for the camera angle to pick up exactly what I'm doing. If I were to step back like this to align my foot with the camera, it actually misaligns me in doing the kata correctly. So please take that in mind as you're watching the video. My heels are on the straight line in reference to the shomen of the kata, although it's not picked up by the camera. In this opening part of the kata, you want to imagine an ocean wave, getting low, coming up, and then slamming and dropping down. You'll notice that with the footwork of the kata. Get low, rise up, crash down, sinking your weight into the stance. Tachiwaza, or stance techniques for Saifa Kata. Step out, come up, drop down. Step out, come up, drop down. Step out, come up, drop down. Next in Saifa Kata is to move to the side into a heron stance or a crane stance. Think of a bird that stands on one leg. The stance is called Sagi Ashidachi. From the shikodachi position, I want to move my foot in an inward circular motion so my heel is in alignment with my toes. I come through that position and move to the side, lifting the knee up, then doing a front kick. My foot comes down as I then move quickly all the way over to the other side. Knee comes up, make a front kick, and I step back into a normal length stance of a Zenkutsudachi or front stance. In a front stance, you're going to have about 70% of your weight on the front leg and about 30% of the weight on the rear leg. When performing Saifa Kata, let's imagine an attack coming straight at me. If the attack is forceful and I'm stronger than the opponent, I could push this to the side. However, that's not usually the case. If the attack is coming at you forcefully, rather than only use my brute strength to move to push the attack off of my center line, I can just simply move my body. And now the attack can go on by. It's kind of like stepping off the train tracks to allow the train to just go on by. Now I can move to one side or the other side. Now you might do this in all different ways. This is the martial arts, how to artfully move your body out of the way of an attack to neutralize the attack. So for instance, if it's coming straight at me, I can use my middle block position. I'm offline. Then from here I can grab it and make a counter attack. Here, the attack is yang, and I'm now yin. Once I neutralize the attack, now I'm yang, and the opponent is now yin. I changed the situation from yin to yang. When performing Saifa Kata, think about what's called tai sabaki. Tai sabaki is how to move your body out of the way of an attack. If you look at the initial footwork, dodging to the side gets me off the center line of the opponent, off the line of the attack, off the line of fire. By getting low, it's equivalent to a boxer ducking. I want to sidestep also to dodge. From there I can re-enter. Let's say an opponent throws a kick, I can step offline and move in. Let's say an opponent throws a low punch, I can move offline and counter. From there, I can move offline, grapple that attack, and go into any kind of throw technique, arm locks. By stepping offline and moving the hips out of the way, you can see how you move off the line of the attack. Dropping your weight keeps you in close for, again, doing throw techniques such as koinage, udanage, many techniques from there. After performing the knee kick and the front kick, we step back into a zenkutsudachi. Now the turn is to take your lead foot to step past your back foot and then pivot on balls of the feet so that when you turn, you're in a zenkutsudachi or front stance, that's 70-30 ratio stance, facing 180 degrees in the opposite direction. I'll do it from the side so you can see. Take your front foot and step across, pivot, and now you're set up in a front stance facing this way. The outside edge of the front foot is pointing directly forward. My back foot is pointing 45 degrees in alignment with my knee and my hip. Now, if you look at me from straight on, you'll notice to break it down, I stepped, keeping my upper body straight and cross-stepping my leg. In actuality, you'd want to move your ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, elbow, wrist, all of that would move at the same time. Once again, this is a form of tai sabaki. If there is an attack coming straight at me, and I take my foot and I step to the side and I pivot, I then move off the attack line. However, if an attack is coming straight at me from behind and I step into it, I could be walking right into that attack. Here it is from the side. Take your shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle, and step across at the same time. Step across at the same time. Once again, from the front. And that's called mawate to turn. After we turn in Saifa Kata, we drag the foot back and make a stomp. This stance is called hachijidachi. The feet are not pointing straight ahead. That's called heikodachi. Heiko means parallel. The toes are slightly pointed out to actually look like the number hachi in Japanese, which doesn't look like our figure 8 that we would normally write out in English. The Japanese figure 8 almost looks like this. So the toes are pointed out slightly at this slight angle, rather than being completely parallel. Hachijidachi, like the number hachi. Heels are shoulder width apart, toes are pointed out slightly. Knees are bent. Weight distribution is 50-50. When we perform the ashibadai, the foot sweep, you want to drag it in. Feel the inner thigh muscles working as well as the outer thigh muscles. Sweep, and then stomp right underneath the shoulder. Then it is performed with the other side. Fumikomi, the foot stomp. Ashibadai, the foot sweep. In martial arts, when the opponent's leg is forward, there's ways of sweeping the foot turning the foot out using the outer edge of the foot. Let's try the foot stomp. Fumikomi. Sweep, stomp. Sweep, stomp. From Zenkutsudachi, Ashibadai, Fumikomi, the foot stomp with the right leg. Next, with the left leg. Next, we take the right foot and we step in to what's called a Han Zenkutsudachi. Han means half in Japanese, so we have our full length Zenkutsudachi, the front stance. Knee is over the ball of the foot. Back leg is straight. Foot is 45 degrees. Weight distribution is 70% on the front leg, 30% on the back leg. A Han Zenkutsudachi, oh, and don't forget the length. The length of the Zenkutsudachi stance would be the knee in line with the middle of the foot. The width of the stance is shoulder width. We don't want it too narrow. We don't want it too wide either. There's also a Hanmi Handachi, when your toes are in line with the heel, and this protects the groin more for in-close fighting. Same stance, just a little variation of that front leg turned in. The Han Zenkutsudachi is weight distribution 50-50. The stance is shorter. In this case, in Saifa Kata, the strike is from the neck level up. It's an upper level strike, so the stance is a little bit higher. You don't want to punch with your fist right in front of the shoulder. Use your body as a gauge for your opponent's vital areas. For instance, if I'm striking to the throat with either a crab shell fist or a fist of any sort, the throat is located above the shoulder. So my punch would be slightly higher than the shoulder level, to the Jodan region or the upper level. Once again, Han Zenkutsudachi, Jodanski. After the Han Zenkutsudachi, we step forward and drag back into what's known as a Neko Ashidachi, or the cat foot stance. When performing a Neko Ashidachi or cat stance, have your feet in the Musubidachi. Point one foot directly forward. Step 1 foot space forward so the heel is in alignment with the toes. Bend the back leg so 90% of your weight is rested on the back leg. 10% is on the front leg. The other side. That's known as the cat stance. Side view. Crouch down low, lower the hips as if you're sitting on a chair. I'll now perform Saifa Kata on the opposite side so you can follow along with me on the screen.